Hello, my name's Father Robbie Lowe, and I'm the author of the book The Night Journey, which you've been reading. It's illustrated by my good friend and neighbour Jan Burrell with some of her wonderful pictures. And some of you have been kind enough to write and ask me some questions about the night story. So I'm sitting here in St Mary's Bodmin, the great church in central Cornwall, just a few miles from where the stories happen, ready to try and answer your questions.
Thank you, Father. What time was the story set?
Well, the story is set now, but it's also set in any time. And it's set in pictorial terms, I suppose, in the 1950s. But the great thing about the story is it can happen any time because it's in the eternity of God. So now, whenever, always.
Can you tell us, Father, why did you use rhyme?
I like rhyme. Rhyme makes you disciplined in what you write because you have to work out the meter and the beat of it. But it's also much more memorable. If you have something in rhyme, you can remember it much more easily.
And who was the angel?
Now there are two angels in the story. One, of course, you see the angel or the archangel at the Annunciation to Mary in a later picture, and that is, of course, Gabriel. We know that from the Bible. But the angel in the window, I did a lot of research on this, and I've discovered the angel in the window is an angel called Oriel, who is a particular guardian of children. So that's the angel in the window that took them on the night journey.
And could you tell us, Father, why didn't Arlo and Sapphire meet the kings?
Well, there's a very good reason for that, of course, because the kings come later. They come at the season of the Epiphany. So the shepherds are the first visitors, and Arlo and Sapphire and Lottie are there. And then the kings come much later when Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus are more comfortably installed in a nice house nearby.
Is there any particular reason why you chose the Superman top?
Well, there is. First of all, because it's actually Sapphire's favourite top, and he wears it a lot. But also, of course, because he's giving it to Jesus, and Jesus is both perfect man and holy God. So Jesus, in a way, is a kind of Superman. So Sapphire gives his Superman vest to the great man himself in the baby Jesus.
Does the church and the house really exist?
The house certainly exists. Yes, it does. It's a part of Foy Retreat in Foy itself. The church, the picture of the church is very, very like a church on the Foy River. But I've called it a different name. I've called it after St Caddoc, who was a great monk who founded churches all over Wales and Cornwall and Brittany. And he had what's called a cell, a place of prayer up the Foy River very near this church that's pictured in the story.
How old are the children?
Arlo is 8, Sapphire is 6, and Lottie the dog is also 8.
Are the children's names important to you?
Yes, they are. I write lots of stories for my grandchildren, and they have adventure names that I invented for them. So Arlo and Sapphire are not their real names, they're their adventure names, and they take part in adventures as Arlo and Sapphire. They're based on their initials. Too complicated to explain, but they're important.
Can you tell us, Father, was it midnight mass that they went to?
Yes, it was, which is always an exciting time.
Where are Arlo and Sapphire's parents?
That's a very good question. Now, Arlo and Sapphire's parents went to the much earlier mass so they could come back to the house and prepare everything for the celebration of Christmas at home. So they did an important job, but this midnight mass job was left to Grandad and Grandma because grandparents sometimes have a very special relationship with their children. They've got a bit more time and they're not so rushed. So the parents had been to Mass, but they had come back to the house to prepare the celebrations at home.
And what inspired you to write the book, Father?
Well, I love the story of Jesus. It seems to me that the Christian faith is one great adventure. And I wanted to show the Christian faith as an adventure which involved children, which involved the family, which started in the Mass, where we meet Jesus every time we come to celebrate Mass. And I wanted to say something about the real presence of Christ in our lives. So it's an adventure story, but then the whole of our lives is an adventure with God.
What does the book mean to you, Father?
Well, it's important to me in as much as I wanted to tell the story, and I wanted something that children could share and could understand and be excited by in the way that the faith excites me.
Have you written a book before?
I have written lots and lots of stories over the years, but none of them have been illustrated or published until last year when I wrote a book called Mamma Mia and the Pizza Pie Party, which is about a little Italian village, and it's about family, faith and friendship, and you learn a bit of Italian and you end up with a wonderful recipe for pizza that you can make with your grandparents or parents. So that's the first book that was published, but it's only because I managed to get Jan to illustrate the books. All the rest of the stories have not got illustrations, so they've not been published. But Mamma Mia and the Pizza Pie Party is the other one.
And have you ever been on a night journey, Father?
Well, in physical terms, I once, at the age of 18, walked 50 miles to Brighton overnight. I've also been on a sleeper train, which is very, very exciting, the midnight special from London down to Cornwall. But in terms of a spiritual night journey, yes, I think that time alone with Jesus, in the presence of Jesus at the Mass, or alone in prayer, or in the special holy places, where suddenly you're swept up into a knowledge of the saints and of heaven and of the presence of Christ. Yes, those are very special moments. We often in our lives have night journeys, and we need to hang on to them and remember how important they were when we encountered the Lord.
And our last question, Father, how much have these books raised for charity?
Well, Mamma Mia's been out for about a year and a couple of months, and that's raised over £5,000. And the night journey has been out for nearly 6 weeks, and that's raised £2,500. So that's really lovely, and all of it goes to charities caring for children who are disadvantaged, in difficulty, ill, or in war zones or wherever. So it's lovely that every time a copy of this book is bought, it goes to help children in need somewhere in the world through the great Catholic charities.
Thank you very much, Father.
Thank you. Lovely to talk to you. Have a wonderful Christmas, and may God bless you all.